Hello, my name is Fiona O'Brien. I am a Senior Product Development Chemist at Adhesive Research. I am delighted to be here today to present on the unique challenges of skin attachment. First, I'll talk about wearable device information, followed by discussing the factors that can influence wear performance. Then I'll provide some information on skin adhesive requirements, followed by an overview of some platform technologies that Adhesive Research have developed to meet the requirements of the wearable device market. Then there will be a summary of our value proposition, followed by an overview on our other healthcare technology offerings. According to verified market research, the global wearable skin patch market was valued at just over $6 billion in 2019, as predicted to grow at a compound annual rate of 88.54% to a value of over $726 billion by 2027. The drivers include an increasing prevalence of lifestyle diseases, the rising number of geriatric populations, cost-effective in-home healthcare monitoring, greater ease of use and comfort at home, and increasing development funds and tax benefits for startups and venture capitalists. The restraining factors then include data security issues, the relatively high cost of wearable devices, long product approval cycles, and non-skin wireless devices including smartphones, watches, bands, and eyewear. There are a number of healthcare and medical applications that have a requirement for our wearable skin patches. These include diabetes management applications such as continuous glucose monitoring and insulin delivery devices, cardiovascular applications such as heart rate and ECG monitoring, and for defibrillators and other diagnostic devices. In the pharmaceutical sector for drug delivery, and for other patient monitoring such as fever monitoring. There are also a number of consumer, fitness, sports, wellness and cosmetic applications, such as sports and analytics, cosmetics and other tracking devices. With such a vast array of wearable devices currently on the market, combined with the predicted growth, it is critical to understand how device design affects wear performance. Each device and its intended application poses unique challenges for device attachment. Device shape, height, weight and composition can all influence wear performance. Larger shaped devices with a higher profile and an increased weight pose a more difficult challenge and may be best suited to larger areas on the body with less movement, such as the lower abdomen. Wearable devices are typically composed of low surface energy materials. Selecting an appropriate adhesive to suit the device composition is essential for achieving optimum performance. Skin properties can greatly influence wear performance. As skin is such a variable substrate, it is critical to understand the target market for which the device is intended. Age, gender, race, diet and environment can all have an influence on wear performance. Older skin is thinner with a thinner epidermis layer, which makes it more fragile. It also has less collagen fibres, resulting in a loss of elasticity, contributing to more wrinkles. As we age, we can also experience a loss of oil and sweat glands, which can contribute to drier skin. All of these factors result in the requirement for a more gentle formulation for older skin. In terms of the surface energy then, clean, dry skin can have a surface energy of 27 dynes per centimetre, but on the forehead it can be up to 52 dynes per centimetre. Perspiration can also vary by location, individual and activity level, ranging from 100 to 8,000 millilitres per day. The location on the body can also influence wear performance. Selecting an area where there is less movement can dramatically influence wear performance. Let me demonstrate by outlining a study that we completed here at Adhesive Research. In this study, which contains 6 different devices, participants were requested to apply the patches to the abdomen area. They were applied in such a way that they were rotated, in such a way that, for example, participant 1 applied sample number 1 to location 1, and participant 2 applied sample number 1 to location 2, and so on and so forth. As illustrated in the following image, outlining the anatomy of the body, we can see that the upper abdomen is subject to more movement. So let's see then how that compares to the ones on the lower abdomen area. As can be viewed in this box plot, the samples that were worn in the positions located on the upper abdomen area That is, locations 1 and 6 performed less favourably. They had a much broader range of wear performance, and a similar performance was observed for both. Whereas the samples in the lower abdomen area contained a much narrower spread of data and performed much more favourably. Another contributing factor here was the fact that there were so many different devices worn, increasing the probability that they'd knock against each other and contributing to fall-offs. The substrate type can also influence wear performance. Here we see the results of a wear study performed with 4 different substrates: polyurethane, polyester, polypropylene, and polyethylene. The time worn is illustrated in the box plot. As can be observed, the samples with the polyurethane and polyester samples performed most favourably, in contrast to the polyethylene and the polypropylene samples. In contrast, when we look at the pain scale and removal ratings, we can see that the PU and the polyester samples performed less favourably than the polypropylene and the polyethylene samples. This information can be used to select the best substrate for the application. So for instance, if a wear time of 14 days was the most critical attribute, then a polyurethane or polyester substrate would be the most preferred candidate. But for instance, where you may have geriatric or paediatric skin, then the polyethylene substrate may be the best choice. That is why it is so critical to understand where the device is going to be worn and what target market. Adhesive selection for skin attachment is critical to assure proper therapeutic dose delivery and device function. Achieving the correct properties is a balancing act. Trying to increase the values of one property will likely have a knock-on effect on the other properties. It is critical to obtain a good design input to determine the critical properties so that the best option may be selected. One of the most critical parameters that need to be taken into consideration when developing a skin-friendly adhesive for device attachment is bond strength. The following graph illustrates the difference in bond strength that may be required from one application to the next. For example, a peel adhesion of 1 newtons per 25 millimeters may be required for paediatric or geriatric applications with a wear time of up to 24 hours. This increases to 5 newtons for a longer term wear up to 7 days, and can be up to 30 newtons when you apply a weight, and then up to even 40 newtons when you've got for weight-bearing adhesive applications. The pictures here illustrate the failure modes that can be observed if the adequate adhesion is not achieved. So if we look at the patch that's on the top left, we can see that it is well bonded to the skin, indicating that adequate bond strength is achieved. If we look at the patch on the top right, we can see some evidence of tunnelling, indicating that the bond strength may be a little bit too low. If we look down the patch on the bottom, we can see that there is edge lifting all around the edge and the perimeters. This is an indication that the bond strength is not adequate. Biocompatibility is testing a device to determine the potential toxicity resulting from bodily contact with a material or medical device. The testing needs to be completed according to ISO 10993 standards. The tests that are typically completed are cytotoxicity, skin irritation, and skin sensitization. Cytotoxicity is completed in vitro, so it's completed on cells, and you're looking for effects on cells, such as cell lysis, inhibition of cell growth, and colony formation. For skin irritation, then that's completed in vivo, in direct contact with the body, and you're looking for irritation or an immediate response. For the skin sensitization, that's also conducted in vivo on the body, but you're looking at more a delayed or allergic response from the repeated or prolonged exposure. It is characterised by the fact that the reaction is delayed, independent of dose, and not localised. The MVTR of the tape has to be high so that any vapour produced by the skin can pass through. Excess moisture on the skin surface would compromise the bond and may lead to edge lifting or patch fall-offs. Skin with excess moisture is also more prone to infection and maceration, such as illustrated in the following diagram. The MVTR rate increases with increased wear time. The graph shows how the MVTR can be modified by modifying the coat weight. So here we see, for example, when the coat weight was 68 GSM, we achieved an MVTR level of 400 grams per metre squared per day. When this coat weight was reduced to 38 GSM, the MVTR rate increased to 1,000 grams per metre squared per day. Skin adhesives for device attachments also need to be able to retain adhesive properties after sterilisation. Gamma sterilisation, ethylene oxide sterilisation, and E-beam sterilisation are typical sterilisation techniques used. Sterilisation can generate free radicals, which can lead to polymer cross-linking. This can alter the adhesive properties. The adhesive formulations can be modified in such a way as to withstand the effects of the sterilisation techniques. Here we see illustrated in this graph an example of how the adhesive maintained its peel adhesion post-exposure to gamma sterilisation at a dose of 25 kilograms. The shear strength of adhesive then is the maximum shear stress in the adhesive prior to failure under torsional load. High shear strength is required to support device weight with minimal movement or creep. The shear strength of the adhesive can be evaluated by applying a load of a defined weight, often 500 grams, to an adhesive tape which is bonded to a panel. The time it takes for the bond to foil is an indication of your shear strength. This graph shows how the shear strength of a weight-bearing adhesive compared to that of a standard acrylic. As can be observed, it is greater than 10 times higher. Pain on removal is another critical performance parameter, particularly for paediatric or geriatric applications, or in instances where reapplication is required. This is assessed by completing Wear studies, where participants are requested to provide a pain scale and rating removal ranging from 0 for no pain to 4 to the worst possible pain. Here we see on this graph the example we illustrated in an earlier slide, where the polyurethane and the polyester samples provided the higher ratings and the PE samples provided the most performable performance. Skin condition on removal is also a critical parameter. Again here, participants are requested to provide a rating for skin condition on removal, ranging from 0 to no visible response, to 4 to bright fiery response with edema present. Again here we can see that the polyethylene and the polypropylene substrates performed the most favourably. So again, we touched on this earlier, conformability is critical. We could see here that if you selected a substrate that had too high a profile, it could basically lead to the patches being knocked off. In contrast then, when you look at a substrate that may be very light or flimsy, constructions need to be rigid enough not to fold over onto itself, but flexible enough to be conformable. I will go through some key features and attributes of some of the platform technologies that adhesive research have developed to meet the requirements of the wearable device market. We will see how the requirements we discussed earlier fit into the different categories. First, let's look at what layers are typically required for bonding a wearable device to the skin. Typically, a double-sided tape is used where you have a skin-friendly adhesive on one side of a specially selected substrate and a device bonding adhesive on the other side. Both sides are protected with release liners, which can be removed. So let's look at our low-surface energy adhesives that are typically required for bonding components in medical devices. So you have different options possible. You've got acrylic, rubber, silicone and hybrid chemistries. You can achieve a permanent or removable bond depending on the application requirements. They can be provided as a transfer film, so that's just on its own with 2 release liners, or in combination with a skin adhesive as a double-sided tape. The selected formulation needs to contain clean, non-cytotoxic chemistries. They are ideal for patch pumps, infusion pumps, and general device bonding. Weight-bearing adhesives reliably and comfortably bond a weighted device for treatment or monitoring. Tailoring adhesive properties for short or long-term wear is possible. These provide good shear resistance for less movement. They offer up to 10 times that of a standard acrylic adhesive to support device state with minimal movement or creep. They can be removed without compromising skin integrity. They can withstand typical sterilisation techniques such as ethylene oxide sterilisation, gamma sterilisation and E-beam sterilisation. They are biocompatible per ISO 10993. They're non-cytotoxic, are non-irritating and non-sensitising. So AR skin-friendly platforms address unique challenges of skin attachment. They offer tailorable wear duration, adhesion to multiple locations of the body, minimal pain upon adhesive removal, they're suitable for sterilisation, and they offer good cost control with tape configurations to reduce material costs. The value we bring to you includes providing design flexibility with extensive polymer science expertise, joint development programs, and route to market alignment. We offer fast development capabilities with access to our experienced custom solution teams, enabling end-to-end development supported by dedicated program management, resulting in unique turnkey solutions for extraordinary outcomes. We have research and development and manufacturing facilities located at both our corporate headquarters in Glenrock, Pennsylvania, and also in Limerick, Ireland, as well as converting capabilities in Glenrock, and we also have offices based in Shanghai, China. As well as skin adhesives and device adhesives, for wearable devices, we provide other skin-friendly adhesives such as short-term wear adhesives and long-term wear adhesives. We offer hydrophilic adhesive and coatings for diagnostic and microfluidic device applications. We offer cover tapes to enable secure seals, and we offer spacer tapes with tight thickness tolerances for use in diagnostic applications. Thank you for your interest and attention. If you would like any further information or you would like to discuss your application requirements with us, we would love to hear from you. The contact details are outlined in this slide.